Hey guys, before we dive into the type of edible plants you can grow indoors and to put this terrarium together using edible plants, I want to express my deepest sympathies to those who have lost their homes, communities, ones who've been affected by the wildfires. I cannot even imagine the type of pain that you're going through right now. So please take good care of yourselves. You are what matters in this moment. I hope that you'll find the strength to rebuild. So I thought today would be a good time to share with you guys some indoor plants since the air quality is so bad outside right now. And for those of you living in colder climates, the garden has been put to bed. So having some greenery inside your home hopefully would help bring some peace in your life. As you can see, I got quite a selection of edible plants to show you guys. I'll also talk about the light requirement and the different growing systems that you can use to grow these plants successfully indoors. And then we're going to be putting together one of the edible plants here in a terrarium in this beautiful glass bottle. I got 3 types of plants here. They do really well in indirect light. I put these in full shade in the garden and they do really well. So this is an Ashitaba. Years ago, I didn't know what to expect of them over winter, so I ended up growing them inside by the windowsill and they grow just fine. And this one just makes a really beautiful houseplant. It's got medicinal benefits. If you want to learn more about this plant, I'll point you to that video. Especially for those of you who live in colder places, you can grow this indoor in the winter and then bring them outside after the last day of frost have passed. Here we have one of the Vietnamese herbs. I really enjoy this as a vegetable, like a leafy green. I make green smoothies with this, and this one grows really well in full shade to mostly sun. Finally, this is the Magenta Leaf plant. This traditionally Vietnamese would use to dye their rice and their food purple. Really interesting that you just soak these leaves in water or boil it in water and it just makes the water turn purple. It's really, really fun. Now moving on to some things that require a little more sun or, you know, a couple hours of direct sun coming through the window. These plants would grow really well. Starting with this one here is the Bacopa. Bacopa, you can find these sometimes, they even grow it in fish tanks because they really don't mind water. They can grow in water, they can grow in mud, they can grow in well-drained soil. Been told that it has really good medicinal benefits, like it's good for your brain health, for your memory. I really enjoy this one. You can eat it raw or cooked. Here we have a sand ginger. Sand ginger, you would harvest just like ginger, the rhizomes. And this one actually stays quite short, so they're really nice to put in on like a windowsill or just like catches a couple hours of morning sun would be enough for these to grow. When you get them actually in like a brighter setting, you'll be able to get a bit of a harvest of the rhizomes. Here's another really easy to grow plant called longevity spinach or genera procumbens. This one is so mild in flavor. They grow well in full sun or even full shade. So this is another one that's really good for indoor space because when there's not enough heat, they really slow down the growth, which makes them really nice to, you know, bring indoors to overwinter and get them to kind of continue to grow so you can harvest a bit of the leaves. But something like this, if you want to grow it indoors and have enough to eat, you would have to grow multiple plants. They're easy to take cuttings from. You can grow them under grow lights. That should be a sufficient amount to do like a little mixed green salad. And here we have mint. I love this mint. It's got this very perfume floral scent to it. And this one I find that doesn't require as much sun as like a peppermint. They definitely can grow a lot faster the more sun you give it. And finally, I got sweet potatoes. Now, sweet potatoes, you obviously would not have enough heat indoors and brightness to actually get tubers from these, but you can definitely start growing your sweet potato slips or cuttings, or you can grow them indoors just for the leaves. The leaves are edible as well as the tubers. Here I got the ones sitting in water. I propagate it this way just by taking cuttings off of the plant that's still growing outside. If you don't have any sweet potato cuttings to start, you'll have to start them from a tuber. Organic ones would give you a much better success rate, and you can do the water method or the soil method, which I really prefer. I will point you to that video. In fact, that was actually one of my most viewed videos. I'd say that video gone wild. Viral. I think this would be really nice to grow in something like this. And let them climb on this trellis. Finally, this group of plants are grown for salad greens. You can grow them indoors, but they do require a lot of light. So unless you have almost like a greenhouse or an atrium, you're going to need to grow them under grow lights. But you can see the amount of success you can have growing these. This is just grown from seed 2 months ago. You can see I have like a whole head of lettuce here, especially if you keep picking from the outer leaves, it's gonna keep producing for you. So you don't actually need a special system to grow, leafy greens like these. You can see I got this tiny little 2-inch or 2.5-inch pots. And just each of these pots you can grow one plant, and you can put them all together under grow lights and they'll produce really well. You can see I got one here. This is actually a wicking system that I'll talk about next. Wasabi arugula, so it's an extra spicy kind of arugula. This beautiful Asian green with this purpley center. I got Swiss chards here, and of course I got lettuce. This Merlot lettuce, so it's beautiful, deep red. So something like this, you're looking for like high production, you definitely would need to grow them in super bright setting or under grow lights. The whole setting it sort of mimics the outdoors. And when you get something growing so densely, the fan is really crucial. Otherwise, you're gonna start seeing a bunch of different like pests and disease going on. Since we're talking about pests, I wanna share the types of soil or watering that I do and what I feed these plants to keep them healthy. That is just so crucial, especially when you're growing it indoors. I use the same soil as ones I use outdoors. It's an organic potting mix called by Ocean Forest Fox Farm. It's definitely a more premium type of soil you can find at a hydroponic store, or some nurseries would carry it. Another option would be to at least get some organic potting mix that says like to grow indoors. Depending on the plants, to improve drainage, I might add some perlite in there or vermiculite. And when it comes to watering, you definitely want to make sure you're giving the proper amount of water the plants need, because if you overwater them, evaporation just happens so much slower indoors. If you're unsure, just stick your finger in a couple inches to check. And then another thing I find really helpful is just to use something like this to water. I find that this can be quite precise and easy and very inexpensive to get. This is just something I got like at the Dollar Tree. Oh, and I use filtered water. Actually, I do that in the garden outdoors as well as indoors. And to feed these plants, I'm using Vermistera worm casting teas or the Vitality, which is a more concentrated worm tea. I dilute it in water to feed the plants. I used to have more issues with fungus gnats when I was using a different brand of soil. After I switched over to Fox Farm, it got better. And then feeding the plants with Vitality, I don't have any issues with fungus gnats anymore. So I'm very happy about that. All right, so to grow indoors, what I like to do is use a spoon. This is Vermistera worm castings. I'm adding a little bit of this in here because this is an old pot. I was away for a long time earlier this year and the plant didn't make it. So to reuse this soil, I do need to replenish it a bit. All right, so let's just plant up the sweet potato. Okay, so that's done. If you have a regular pot, plants will grow just as well. But this pot is actually a wicking pot. There's this extra one on the bottom with a string or a rope tied connecting to the top part, and it helps to wick the water up to feed the plants. That's it. It's so cute. I can't wait till it grows up and it starts climbing on this trellis. Since we're talking about wicking systems, here's this other growing kit that has like this wicking system. The root has grown crazy. You see that? It is so crazy. And you can see you can get quite a bit of harvest out of just this small amount of space. And the system is very simple. You can see it collects water on the bottom, and then it's got the stand for these pots on top to stand on so that it would not rot them out. And then you got this sheet here that helps to wick the water up. Now on the top here, these are air pruning pots. Out of all these, I really like the system. All I gotta do is fill up the reservoir and the plants would wick it up. Finally, let's talk about the third method, and this one is actually just more for fun, is the terrarium. Terrarium is a completely enclosed space. It has its own ecosystem inside, but if you want to air it out, there is a top here that you can release a bit of, moisture. This other glass container, it's not a traditional terrarium per se, but it's got that vibe. Basically, a terrarium is something like a container that it's enclosed but does not have drainage. If you are growing plants in any pots that doesn't have drainage, you'd want to follow these steps to prevent them to rot. So terrarium is something, I think it's more like a scenery that you're building to escape. It's not something for you to actually harvest for food. But the one that I'm going to grow in here, since it's edible, if I really want to, I can actually take a tweezer and harvest these for food. But it's not going to be convenient. Let's just be realistic here. But I think this would be a really nice piece to have in the house when there's no greenery around. Now let's talk about these things. This is for drainage. It is really important. Whenever you're planting something in a pot without drainage, you definitely want to create a space for that excess water to go. So what I like to start with is either some rocks, like here we have these like river stones, or you can use even larger stones, would actually be good. I don't have those with me right now. These ones are called licas. They're made of clay. A lot of like a hydroponic style kind of growing would use this. And I like these because they're nice and light. Let's say in this, so on the bottom layer, I would put rocks or licas on the bottom, or mix the two, use whatever materials you have. And you would build it maybe about a couple inches steep. And because this is actually a pretty heavy bottle to start with, that's why I'm choosing to use Leica instead for drainage. And then on top of the second layer would be these activated charcoal. You can get these at Amazon or Home Depot, local nurseries, pet stores, fish shops. This helps to remove toxins and remove odor from more like an enclosed space. So I don't really need to use charcoal if I'm using a pot. This one has a really wide opening. I would not need to use it. It's great if you do, but it's not necessary. But something with this enclosed space, it's pretty important that you use charcoal to use it as a filter. Charcoal is in the middle layer, and the top layer would be your potting mix. And I also wanted to show you this beautiful glass. See, something like this, if I wanted to be very decorative, I can actually put mint in here. Having the mint in something like this, it's easy for me to go grab these herbs. It can look like a really beautiful piece just to set in your house. There's something really magical about putting plants inside glass. It just forms its own world and just so magical. In fact, I used to make a lot of terrariums and I used to sell them online. If there's no glassware, you can also use some clear plastic and grow plants in. It's so much lighter too, actually. Okay, now let's move on to the fun part. We're gonna put the terrarium together. I'm just gonna work with what I have. This jar, I can set it straight like this or lay it down flat. It's gonna be, I think it'll look really neat, but I just don't have that kind of space for it. All right, I got chopsticks here. That would help me plant. You can use tweezers too, but I like using chopsticks. Oh, and by the way, you're supposed to wash these licas before you use them. But I'm not gonna bother just because the Bacopa are really hardy. The next one, I'm just gonna take a scrap paper, make a funnel. I'm gonna pour the gravel in. Okay, I don't have enough charcoal, but I'm just gonna have to work with what I got. Ideally, you'd want at least 2 inches of charcoal. All right, next, potting mix. I got this long spoon to plant. Now I'm going to put this one inside. I'm just going to remove all the extra soil. Check this out. So we got all this, and we're going to carefully put it in. We got Vitality diluted in water. Let's give it a little bit of nutrients in here. And we're just going to put this on the top, and we're done. Ta-da! I know it doesn't look like much right now, but it's going to be really neat to watch it grow in the next couple of months. You're going to really start to see this take off, and it's just going to pick up its speed just like that. The thing I like about Bacopa a lot is that it's really easy to grow. It's not picky about its water needs. Actually prefers to be wet more so than dry, but being in an enclosed environment, the humidity is going to keep the plant happy even when it's slightly underwatered. Pretty much this plant would set roots wherever it touches, so it's really nice to work with a plant like this in such a difficult space to plant. One more important tip, do not keep an enclosed terrarium in direct sun. It can get too hot inside. And that's it. Hope you guys found this to be inspiring. Let me know in the comments below what you are growing indoor right now and what kind of techniques do you use for growing. If you found this video to be helpful, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Hit that bell notification for updates. To learn my preferred method to growing sweet potatoes, be sure to check out that video. Stay safe, you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.